Hello everyone and welcome back to another video there. Oh, I saw a little sneak peek. But so today, yesterday, Tuesday, upon reset for this week, couple of things. Number one, the Necro-Chasm ornament is available for Bright Dust. Even if you don't have the gun, I would highly recommend getting this ornament. It looks so clean. Also, I'm not sure why it rotates like that. It's a little bit strange, but also, if you go to the seasonal tab, there's a Titan ornament set from Mass Effect. There was also one for Warlock and Hunter, but obviously on this channel we mostly focus on Titan, but we also can do some Warlock and Hunter stuff. Also, it's just a lot rarer. Also, you will have a free pack here that includes this ghost shell, this ship here. Also, y'all can see what it looks like from the back, and this sparrow here. A cool little effect there. Also, at least last week there was a free Bright Dust gift here, but it might not be there this week, so keep that in mind. In terms of shaders, nothing much. Probably don't expect the same level of things, in the future, but there's none of the shaders really here are that great in particular. But let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. So this is my new SIVA Syntheseps build. I wanted to do a Necrochasm, because that SIVA ornament, and Syntheseps also has a SIVA ornament, and it does have a special ornament for that ornament that gives it a special effect. Just so y'all can see what it doesn't do anything to the arms, because if you look closely, nothing happens to the arms. Nothing different. But for the legs here, if you want to look at the legs here, they just get bigger. So that's cool. And of course, I'm gonna show you all the fashion. If you want to cop the fashion, I tried my absolute best. I didn't really know what mark I wanted to do, but just so y'all know how to obtain these. This helmet is from the Mass Effect set. You can replace this with another helmet. The chest piece is from Neomuna. The mark is actually from Season of the Hunt, which you can no longer get, but I've already told you where the legs and shoulders come from. This exotic ship is really old. I don't exactly... It has the black armory symbol on it, but I don't remember how exactly I got this ship. But if you know, put it in the comments, because I don't really remember. I only did one forge, so I don't think I got it from there. Then this ship was from Season of the Seraph. You'll see its little effect once we get to the classic Neomuna, It's where we gotta test it. The only seasonal mod that I really have that will impact this is Soul Operative. That's the only way it'll impact anything. I obviously got a boy Necrochasm. I would suggest having the catalyst done. It's not required, but it's helpful. For the energy slot, I really want to have... I tried so hard grinding out the red border for Irritative Loop, but unfortunately I have to wait until next week for the weekly master mission to be able to craft it. There's two roles you can really go for this. You can either do Compulsive Reloader and Vault Shot, which is probably the role that I'm going to go for. That will make the Fusion Rifle be more of an ad clearer. The other role you can go for, also for this slot, because the charge time is so quick, you can definitely go for liquid coils for this. I'd actually suggest it for this. It's just the aggressive frame fusion rifles that I do have crafted. They fire a little bit too slowly for my liking. But for this other slot here, you can also go for Lead from Gold and Demolitionist. But I'm probably planning on going for Compulsive and Volt Shot. And, of course, major spec, we always slap that on weapons here. This weapon you can get from Neomuna. The only other thing I would suggest maybe using in place of this is Loaded Question. I have Overflow and Reservoir Burst for mine. And I have Liquid Coils on this one. Even though that you can see that charge time is almost double. It's very high risk, high reward, but it's even higher than Bida's Reckoning. So... this one's from Vanguard playlist, and this one you can also use. I use Unrelenting Reservoir Burst. That's from King's Fall. I would really suggest using Irritative Loop. If you don't have this, an arc shotgun will also work. However, I would not really use any other weapon for this. Now, for the heavy slot, I have Hothead, my adept, good old boy with, field prep, Vorpal weapon, impact casing. The other option I would suggest is maybe using Storm Chaser with Vorpal weapon or, something like that. Another option would be Song of Urut if you're just using this as an ad clearing thing. Now, with this build, even without the seasonal artifact, you can take care of Unstoppable and Overload with one grenade. We are using Fists of Havoc here, which, yes, I know, but Fists of Havoc requires you to actually be up close, and while you're up close, you can probably get up Biotic enhancements, whatever the Synthesis buff is called, but that's going to be kind of helpful. It makes Synthesis kind of useful here. We're using Flashbang Grenade here because it blinds, which blinds stops unstopped champions, and we also have Spark of Shock here, which jolts targets, but which stuns, overloads. That one is a little bit trickier to do because the grenade actually has to explode on the target itself. Normally speaking, I wouldn't necessarily use Touch of Thunder here unless you're doing like Crotazen or something like that. I would prefer a different fragment aspect here, but Juggernaut is worse for our setup. Also, Seismic Strike blind, so there's your anti-unstop as well. So we're using that because normally when you shoulder charge into a group of enemies, you will get that extra damage from Syntheseps right before it hits. So there's that. And also a combo that I'll try to show you is flashbanging, then seismic striking, so that you're safe, especially in like a GM situation. Also, thruster. If you're using arc, you should be using thruster. Now, just to show, this exotic armor piece does, when you're surrounded, gain increased melee and super damage, as well as improved weapon handling and reload speed. The reload speed and weapon handling is not as useful. However, this is actually useful if you have an arc shotgun with 1-2 punch. You can use that here. I unfortunately just don't have one. Now I'm just showing you a standard look at all the armor and stuff. So for our setup here, Tier 9 Resil, Tier 9 Recovery. Tier 8 Discipline isn't required, but I heavily suggest it. Strength is another one you can go into. Do not dump all your points into there. Your Flashbang Grenade is going to be your best friend here. Importantly, you need to have Kinetic and Harmonic Siphon on. You need to have both, and then Heavy Ammo Finder. You need to have both here because Necrochasm, and also the reason why we're using Arc, is the Cursed Thrall explosion on precision kills is actually arc damage. So if that arc explosion does kill an enemy, it counts as arc. So that's why we have both on. We have Kinetic Loader, the usual Momentum Transfer, and Impact Induction. 2 arc reserves, 2 harmonic reserves, Arc weapon surge is mostly for our special and heavy here. If you can have on kinetic if you just want to focus on Necrochasm as your main weapon. Powerful Attraction is required so that you don't have to exactly run out in the open. That's why we're also using Thruster. And you can even take a closer look at all the weapon perks. Something I forgot to mention here. These two are here because of plus 10 recovery and plus 10 resil. This is here for plus 10 strength, but also, if you look, while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. How are we proccing Syntheseps? By becoming surrounded. So, these things are just feeding into each other here. Also, let me know how y'all feel about the fashion. Give it a 1 through 10 scale, a good old rating. That being said, this is probably one of my... I would say this is probably one of my favorite Arc builds that I've made. I know Arc has kind of been stagnant, at least for Titans, because the only exotic you really use is Thunder Crash. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't necessarily recommend running any other exotic or even the other super. But with this setup, it makes Fists of Havoc viable. It makes even Shoulder Charge more viable, because in a lot of higher end content, even with Thunder Crash, the Arc melees are just not great. Because you being up close to enemies is not the best idea to happen in AGM setting. Also, y'all can see the path here. Also, I'm not sure how I feel about the shader on the Sparrow, but yeah, I will catch y'all in the Lost Sector. Alrighty, while I'm here, I should probably show you some movement tech that you can do with this setup, because a lot of people don't. But you can like shoulder charge and then thrust. If you actually have outreach here instead of bomber, you can probably I'm pretty sure you get your shoulder charge back almost immediately, because that cooldown is tied to everything else. But going for headshots here, because yeah, you can see this thing fires absolute insanity. Oh, we're not surrounded here, so we can shoulder charge here. Clear all those boys out. Doing a volt shot here. I wouldn't really use that volt shot aspect unless, you know, the other aspects. Also, if you melee here, you got a lot of range. Like in PvE, the knockout melee is kind of insane. Clear all those boys out. By the way, make sure you reload after getting the Cursed Thrall explosion. It is kind of hard to get. I really do hope Bungie buffs this. And as you can see there, like that, like Necro-Chasm? And we're gonna blind them there. And here, if we get surrounded up here, we'll go ahead and like up here. The other enemy wasn't close enough. I will say, do be careful. If you don't have like an orb nearby, you will want to back away. But since we're surrounded, I do wish the light attack did carry a little bit farther. Yeah, you can see we're kind of getting ammo here as well, which is really good. And we can just, you know, get that volt shot off. We don't have any ammo to reload it with. That's the only sucky part about it. We can just melee here. Because we're getting biotic enhancements, knockout is even stronger. Which is... Where'd he go? I would like a little bit more ads here. Just get that enhancement. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, I guess he's just chilling. Also, something I should probably mention, this origin trait on the fusion rifle is nanotracer rockets. It doesn't really activate necessarily, like occasionally it will, but it's kind of hard to tell. Want to get that Cursed Thrall explosion. Get that Desperado going. Like, oh, you have to admit, that shit is clean. We do want more enemies here. Just to get the biotic enhancement. As you can see, it's not great for super damage. It's mostly an egg clearing setup here. Like I said, I wouldn't really use this in a and we have biotic enhancements. Also, knockout does give you health regen, so you can really go ham. God damn, this is a little bit more broken than I was expecting. Like, Jesus. So yeah, this setup is kind of more broken than I
wonder if they'd
thought.
let you try some of those fruits as thanks.
Kind of felt like strike difficulty. Also, just so y'all know, I have field prep on this rocket launcher, so when I'm crouched, your rocket is your big damage. That is your big boy damage. Do keep in mind, if you switch it out for a machine gun, your damage is gonna dip. You can switch it out for a linear fusion rifle. Unlike a lot of my other Titan builds, this one doesn't struggle with range because, I mean, you have this for long range. Also, this does have ricochet rounds, so that's something to know. And irritative loop, close range. You also have your melee for close range, your flat, your spang for mid range. Also, if you hip fire it, yes, Necro-Chasm does hype up a bit. It does have a little bit of glow to it, so. But yeah, anyways, on that note, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on the flip side.